Hey, what's up guys? This is Eric from Rare Candy, and today we're going to be taking a look at a new deck that kind of comes out of the newest set, Breakpoint. We're taking a look at Garchomp. He's probably one of the more hyped cards from the set. And to be honest, there's actually a lot of different ways you can play this card. We're just going to take a look at one way today. If you saw the previous video that had our battle between Greninja and Garchomp, like we said, these are actually really early rough builds of the deck, so I wouldn't probably play this exact list at a tournament. These are definitely still work in progress, but I thought it'd be cool to at least get the list up online, just to give you guys some ideas to play around with. Just as a nice starting point. So we're just going to get right into it. First of all, we play 4 Gibble. So this is actually an entire Garchomp deck. We're not playing Maxi or anything like this. Garchomp's the main attacker, so you need 4 Gibble to get your Garchomps into play. It is worth noting his first attack is actually kind of decent too. Lets you discard a card from your hand, and if you do, you get to draw 2 cards. So nice little consistency booster is always good on these big stage 2 evolution lines. Next we only have 1 Gabite. I honestly would like to play more of these. I'd like to go to a 4-2-4 line, but space in this deck is super tight. But you do still need to at least run 1 Gabite. But if I could find the space, I would like to actually play 1 more. The attack isn't too relevant, he's just kind of there to get us into Garchomp. Next up, since Garchomp is our main attacker, we are going to be playing 4 of him. Garchomp, what makes him good, his first attack, 60 damage for a fighting, and you get to accelerate an energy out of your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. And so that can be strong energy, double colorless, a basic fighting, doesn't matter. That's kind of what makes him so cool. So with Garchomp, you can keep using this attack, and you can keep stringing attackers for the rest of the game, and that's kind of the general idea. And Bite Off, the second attack, it does 80, but if they're an EX, it does 80 more, so 160. But since Garchomp is fighting type, he gets all the advantages of using things like Fighting Stadium, Strong Energy, Muscle Band, etc. So there's a lot of ways to increase that damage to help get those one-hit knockouts on EXs. So he's a very strong attacker, free retreat, just an all-around really solid card, and that's why he's kind of the star of the deck. The biggest thing is just finding out what to pair with him, because there's so many different ways you could build a deck around this guy. But next up, we're going to have Hawlucha. Pretty much, he's been in every fighting deck since it's come out. And it's just a really good, basic, non-EX attacker you can throw down, while you're building up your Garchomps. And especially with a Focus Sash, it forces them to 2-hit your Hawluchas, just to take 1 prize. Free retreat, just all around good card. I think it makes complete sense to play at least 1 in any fighting deck that you're going to do. But then the other big card we're going to pair with Garchomp, though, it's going to be Octillery. So we're playing a 2-2 of Octillery. The biggest thing is, because this deck does play a very thick line of Karina, as you'll see, you still need to supplement, drawing cards another way, because Karina, you're only searching every turn. So I think Octillery kind of fits really naturally in this, because you can search for a couple cards with Karina, and then refill your hand back up with Octillery. So it seems to make a lot of sense. There's honestly a lot of things you can pair with Garchomp. It's a pretty flexible card. So this might not even be the best option for all I know. But this is the first build we've been working on, and it seems like it works pretty decently so far. And rounding out the Pokemon line, we have 1 Jirachi. Since this deck does play Rare Candy, things like Toad are going to give it a huge problem. Even Giratina can be kind of a nuisance too, because he can prevent you from playing down your strong energies, and all of your other tools like Focus Sash and Muscle Band, etc. So I see no reason why you shouldn't play at least 1 of these. That way to flip the Toad-Tina matchup a little bit more in your favor. And that's it for the Pokemon, guys. There's really not much else space to work with. But like I said, there's a bunch of different ways you can actually build a deck around Garchomp. So we're just choosing the Octillery route, but that's not the only way you could probably do this. So moving on to the supporters, we have 4 Karina. We're maxing it out. It's an awesome fighting supporter. There's no reason not to play it in a fighting deck. We're just going for 4 just for optimal consistency. And it's really nice being able to Karina, for like a Gibble, and on the following turn maybe Karina again for, a Garchomp and rare candy. The fact that you can get candy and the Garchomp is what makes it so powerful, and that's why we're maxing this out at 4. We're also running 2 Bridget. These cards can seem a little bit redundant since they have similar types of uses, but really Bridget, I don't like this card in high quantities in this deck, just because in the late game it is such a dead card in this deck, whereas Karina still retains a lot of value. But Bridget, especially if you can open with this, it's definitely the preferred support to open with. But again, I've opted for a lower count just because it's not very good at all in the late game. So that's why we're only playing 2. If you wanted to flip this count a bit or edit it, I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to it, but just so far this has been what's working pretty good. Next up we have 2 Judge. We're playing Octillery, so it's a pretty natural card to have in the list. Force your opponent to have 4 cards, you both have 4, then Octillery can draw you out of that. So it seems really good. And rounding out our draw cards is actually going to be 1 Sycamore. That probably seems really odd, but this isn't the type of deck where you want to discard anything, to be completely honest. I think it's a great support. I think it's worth playing at least 1 copy of, but it's not something I especially want to open with. It's more something that you want to have sitting in your discard maybe for the late game, just in case you need to hit your last energy or whatever it is you're looking for. So I think it's worth playing at least 1. I am open to changing it to something else, but right now I like just 1 in there. And rounding out the supporters, we have 2 Lysander. Pretty self-explanatory. Lysander's good, helps you get knockouts. And then 4 versus Secret. Max this out. I would actually consider going down to 3. Me personally, I like 4 in decks that play Battle Compressor or that just have a lot of extra space. But in this, it's not a card you really want to open with because you don't really have a way to get supporters into the discard on turn 1. So I'm debating on going down to 3, but as of right now, 4 just for pure consistency. So that's going to be the supporters for the deck. Next up, for item cards, Garchomp is the main attacker, so we're playing 4 rare candy. I don't think there's any way around that. And again, that's why we're playing Jirachi, just in case we go against Toad. We're not stuck, just with the 1 Gabite. We can discard their energy and maybe buy a turn to rare candy. So it's just the most efficient way, of getting a Garchomp out without having to max yet. Okay. And we also have 4 Level Ball. So pretty much everything in this deck is under 90 hit points. Garchomp's the only thing, and again, we're playing such a thick count of Karina that I think we can get away with playing more Level Ball as opposed to Ultra Ball. And I don't run Shaman or anything like that either, so again, I'm not really missing out on anything by playing a more Level Ball heavy type of list. That being said, though, we still do play the 1 Ultra Ball. It's just good to have an additional type of search card. You can get energy into the discard with it to accelerate with Garchomp later. And it's still just a good card to have. So I like having the 1-4 split like this. It seems to be working out pretty good. Next up we have Trainer's Mail. Just another good consistency boosting card. I like Trainer's Mail in pretty much any stage 2 deck. I feel like it kind of fills the role Skyla used to several formats ago. You play a couple of more important supporters on the early turns to set up, and then maybe on your 2nd or 3rd turn you'd play Skyla for a rare candy. But now we have Trainer's Mail, and I feel like it kind of fills a similar type of role in the deck. So I really like it. Just a nice consistency booster to hit everything exactly when you need it. So for our tools that we're running, we're going to be running 2 Focus Sash and 1 Muscle Band. I'm opting for more Focus Sash in this deck just because Garchomp has a lot of synergy with Max Potion. Because let's say someone attacks into you and you have Focus Sash, instead of knocking you out, it'll put you at 10 hit points. So then you Max Potion your Garchomp, healing all of that damage, which puts your energy in the discard, but then you just accelerate the energy back again using his first attack Turbo Assault. So I think there's just too much synergy with Max Potion and Garchomp to play a heavier Muscle Band count over Focus Sash. But again, that being said, Muscle Band is still good. I think one copy is at least necessary. Again, it just helps you hit those numbers that you need to. So speaking of Max Potion though, we play 2 in the deck. I would consider going up to 3. It seems really good. Just because I feel like 2 sometimes in testing, I haven't gotten them when I needed them. But I think 2 to 3 Max Potion is probably ideal for this type of build for Garchomp. Like I said, it just has a crazy amount of synergy. It helps negate bat damage, helps negate, Greninja damage, things like Vespa Queen or Night March that typically knock out Garchomp in one hit. When you have a Focus Sash, Max Potion takes care of that. So again, I think it's too strong of a card not to play in this type of deck. And then also for the tools, we have 1 Floatstone just for Octillery. Just because Garchomp has free retreat, so you really don't need any switching cards typically, but we're going to play 1 just in case for Octillery, in case someone tries to Lysander stall or something. Okay. We also play 1 Sacred Ash, just because Garchomp is our main attacker, and we're basically forcing them to knock out 6 of them. And so we only play 4, so we obviously need a way to get them back in the deck. And it's also nice just in case you have to Sycamore things away that you don't want to. Just a good card, I think, pretty much for any evolution heavy deck like this. And then just 1 letter, and that'll be the last of the item cards. It's just good because you can Karina, especially on the first turn, you can maybe Karina for a Gibble and a letter attach, and then next turn you can Karina for the Garchomp and Candy, or something to that effect. So I think it's a good card. I like it in pretty much any fighting deck that plays Karina, and this one's no different. And then for our stadiums, we're just doing 2 fighting stadium. Garchomp pretty much 2-shots everything to begin with, so I don't think there's an advantage to playing a really heavy fighting stadium count. It's definitely good because it forces you to, or it lets you get away with not attaching strong energies or muscle band sometimes. So it's just a different way to hit the numbers that you need to against EX decks. But it's definitely not even a necessity for this deck, I don't think. You could debatably evenly go down to a lower count, but just for right now, I think 2 has been working okay. And so that's it for trainers, and all for energy we're playing is 4 strong energy and 4 fighting. It might seem like not a lot, but because Garchomp is so good at recycling energy, you really don't need any more than this. And even if you whiff energy on the first turn, again, it's not even a big deal because Garchomp's only a 1 energy attacker, and he can stream energy later in the game too. So I think 8 is all you need. You could debatably add or subtract 1 more, but I think 7 to 9 energy is all this type of deck needs, to be honest. But yeah, guys, that's it. This is basically our first draft of Garchomp here at Rare Candy. So, like I said, this is a very rough early build. Things will probably change, but so far it seems good. It does tend to struggle against the Greninja break deck, just in case you didn't watch the video we uploaded. But other than that, I think it will do pretty well. I think it trades really well with with EXs, and even things like Raichu, it just 1-shots. So. And also for Vespa Queen, it can 1-shot that as well. So I don't know, it seems like a pretty strong deck. Again, I don't know if this is the absolute best way to play Garchomp, but as of right now, this is our starting point, and we think it could potentially be something. All right, guys, but yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. If there's anything that you would change, or if you would pair something different with Garchomp other than Octillery, let us know. We've talked about Garbodor. There's just a vast number of things you can maxi Garchomp instead. So be sure to let us know what you think. Like and subscribe, and we will see you for the next one, okay?